to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 329 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, if I'm distracted during the podcast, it's just because I'm shopping for stuff on Prime Day. That's the only reason.
Just got to find that special fake deal. Is Prime Day the biggest Kohl's cash of the year? Is my question.
So the first Prime Day was good. There were like good deals on the first Prime Day, and there's some okay deals on Prime Day. You have to know what you're doing when you're looking for stuff. But there's a couple things that I've spotted. They got a good deal on AirPods Maxes right now, so I can, instead of paying $550 for headphones, I can pay $400. So thinking about that.
It's all scam. It's all scam, man.
Yeah, whatever.
Always giving money to the man.
Hey, Bezos can use the money. He's not doing so well, right? He can use some extra cash.
Sure. Whatever you say. Bezos, get out of here.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, it is post Pocono week, James, and it is pre the return of the Brickyard 400 week. 30th anniversary of the Brickyard 400 this weekend.
Yes, what a relief.
Yes, exactly.
What a relief.
We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
I'm excited.
We'll get there. But I want to talk a little bit about the old Brickyard and the return. But before we do that, we got to talk about Pocono. We had the Great American Gateway 400 this weekend at Pocono Raceway. And old Ryan Blaney put his name back in the victory list at Pocono with his second win of 2024. Second win at Pocono, right?
Yes, his first career win.
Yes, first career win came here. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
So Ryan Blaney gets the win here.
Ryan Blaney back in.
Yeah. A race that preliminarily was dominated by Ty Gibbs until he decided to turn his fluids into chocolate milk, as documented wonderfully by the NBC camera crew.
That was what a good camera shot,
Wasn't it?
But yeah,
not good for
not
good for Ty Gibbs though.
Yeah, well, you know how they used to say like the engine puked, like that engine literally, like all over the racetrack.
Did we ever find out what happened?
That's what it did. No, I never did look up what happened. I mean, it was just ended up being a no good, very bad day.
It was on a restart, so I'd wondered if he missed a shift or downshifted instead of upshifting.
He might have, but something ended up where it wasn't supposed to.
Yeah,
that's for
sure.
Well,
when the oil and the water mixes, that's a bad thing, as we learned.
Yeah, and then it floods out.
Yeah.
I never recall seeing it come out quite like that before. So
no,
yeah, that was good. Good camera work there.
That was incredible, definitely. But Ryan Blaney now 2 wins on the season for him. Peaking at the right time, as Blaney has want to do in the past. Defending champion. Yep. What do we think? Is Blaney getting scary at the right time of the year right now?
I think the Fords are starting to be scary as well. But yeah, I mean the Penske guys, they're starting to get it together. Blaney, if you think about it, he could have won 3 races here in this little summer stretch. He had the fuel issue at Gateway, but other than that, he's been tough. Like, he led the most laps in this race. I would expect going into the Brickyard that 12 car is going to be fast again. If you're good at Pocono, you're going to be good at Indy, right? So,
well, it's also Rogers track, so
Rogers track, yeah. So Jolo should be up there. He's definitely, though. You think about the Penske roster, and you've got 2 champions. The last 2 champions on that roster.
Yep.
But he's definitely the highest performer of that group, and the highest performer in the Ford camp right now. So, as the champion should be, we kind of wondered with him. I thought after the championship last year, he's won a championship kind of early in his career, doesn't have a high total of career wins. Like, what's the next phase of his career going to be now that he's a champion? And you're starting to see, he's not known for winning multiple races in a season. He he doesn't have the longevity yet, but now we're starting to see everything kind of come together now. So yeah, he's definitely set up for a really good championship run this year, doing everything he's supposed to do.
Yeah. Denny Hamlin gets a second place finish. 31 laps led in this one for Denny, second and first in the first two stages. Another driver that, I mean, if you were to say, like, give me your top three best Pocono drivers, you'd probably pick Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and maybe Alex Bowman. And that was your top three in this race, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all three of those guys are good here. Denny, obviously, probably the best at Pocono of anybody in recent memory, anyway. Yeah, I guess ever. And almost got it done, but couldn't quite track down Ryan Blaney. Now, I know there were some comments on social media at the end of this race. People upset over the fact that, again, he started to gain and he'd get just close enough, and then Blaney could take the air off and not let him get closer. And James, I don't know about you, but I almost felt like it was more entertaining than the old way, because you could actually watch Blaney work the air, work the line, and keep him back there. Whereas when you got the guy coming from second, the leader doesn't have much of a defense. I mean, the guy who's leading should have the defense, right? I mean, he's playing defense.
Yeah.
So he should have the opportunity to defend that pass, and he was able to do it with the air. So I maybe it's me coming around to this car and just set up and what we've got and just accepting it finally, but I kind of enjoyed the way that finish played out. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It wasn't the most exciting race in the world, but I'm just glad that we, because I was feeling kind of, bummed out because stage 3 started and we were racking up caution flags again. I know we're going to talk about a couple of them, but I'm like every time we get to stage 3, we just cannot seem to get the race back going, and it was nice to see a race kind of play out in a natural sense. We had two guys trying to get through, and I think if Denny's car was a little bit better, he could have figured it out. I think if Chase Elliott would have been in that position, he would have figured it out. He had a really fast race car, unfortunately undone by a penalty, but he was carving his way through the field. I just think that Blaney was just good enough where he could hold off pretty much any charger. It didn't really matter who that was, but I don't think Denny Hamlin really ever had a legit shot at it, but he was able to, take a few swings, like you said.
Right. Yeah. And you said it wasn't the most exciting race in the world, but it wasn't a snoozer either. I mean, it was a decent race. Right. I enjoyed watching it. I watched it throughout parts of the day. My family and I did some stuff out and just kind of toured around the neighborhood, hung out at a couple parks. The boys were playing Pokemon Go, so we were taking them to different parks so they could capture their Pokemon. So I was watching on my iPad and on my computer, so I'd catch, part of the race here and part of the race there. And I stayed entertained throughout the day. Usually if I'm watching on like my iPad, unless the race is really good, I'll get bored. Cause it's not real good at multitasking. So you can't really do other stuff while you're watching it. It's either commit to watch the race or not, but I enjoyed it. So, I mean, I tweeted out after the race, like after Jeff Gluck's pole that, I was watching the race. And at one point I'm like, these races at Pocono really have gotten a lot better. And
yeah, they're good.
I don't understand how people vote no ever in his poll. Like one time probably ever that I voted no, that a race wasn't a good race. Any race is a good race to me. So I don't know. Yep. But I enjoyed this. It's nice. We only come here once. We only do 400 miles. I think it's perfect. I'm good with what we got. And I was okay with the doubleheader thing too before, except that you gave the second day was so obvious what was going to happen because of the way the program worked, that whoever was fast the first day was going to be fast the second day. So. Yep.
This was,
go ahead.
Pocono's got a sweet spot in the schedule. We've definitely gotten better than those 500 milers.
God,
that,
2 500-mile races a month. 3 weeks apart. God, that was awful.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, those were long days. So no, Pocono right now is really good. Yes. Really good.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect setup. It's just another example of why most places should only be going once. It definitely makes the race better only being there once. And I love the fact Pocono is one of those tracks for me that I'm okay, even if it is a boring race, because it's a unique racetrack. It's not like any other track in the world. So we should be at places like that. We should have these places that are just different. And sometimes different isn't, a barn burner, but different is good because it's variety and you don't always know what to expect coming in here. I think the worst thing is that we've got Indy now right after Pocono, where they're two pretty similar driving style tracks that I hope that doesn't hurt the Brickyard, but I'm optimistic about what we'll see this weekend. So
yeah, I think the Brickyard will be a little bit more wild. I think so too. Our first time being on the oval there, I think it's going to be a little bit more dicey.
Well, here's the thing too, James,
than what the guys are used to.
Is when we raced there last, we didn't have stages, right? Did we have stages back when they raced on the oval last time?
We had stages, but we didn't have the new car. The new cars never raced there.
But yeah, exactly. I know that. But I mean, that's the thing. Like Pocono, there's so much talk this race about Pocono and running it like a road course, and that like Denny had the strategy of going for stage wins and stage points, and that may it cost him the win. And that you kind of pick or choose at this track like you do on a road course. I don't know if you'll see that as much at Indy, because Indy is going to be, you want the trophy in Indy. You want to kiss the bricks at Indy. You don't care about the stage points there.
Right. Well, and I was going to ask you about this. I'm glad you brought it up, because you have the opposite end of the spectrum there with Ty Gibbs, who had a really fast race car and sat on the pole, didn't give a rat's you-know-what about the stages.
Right.
Throughout every stage point he had possible, and then has an engine problem and has a horrible points day. And he's somebody who actually needs the points.
Right.
With the situation he's in. I know he's above the cut line fairly comfortably, but it's not like it's one really bad race away now versus what happened on Sunday, where
and the other thing you have to consider too is
race.
There's guys outside looking in that could get a win that are outside of those, outside of that top 16, that if they get one now, suddenly that puts Ty Gibbs closer to that cut line. So that's dangerous too. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough because he's going for his first win, and he was so good. Like he was lights out better than everybody else.
Yeah, that was a good race car.
So, I mean, I kind of feel like you almost have to swing for the fences at that one and just take it if it doesn't work out. If he was where Bubba is, you wouldn't do that. But I think he's got enough playroom that they felt like it's worth it.
Well, and then you have like Ross Chastain having a really bad day too, who crashed out, early in stage 2. So you get I guess that buffer. You kind of watch the cars around you a little bit too. Yeah. So when Ross has a 1-point race, you're in a little bit more forgiving situation. Now, even though Ty Gibbs didn't get any stage points, for example, he still didn't get a whole lot of he didn't get any stage points. I'm looking at it right now. So he's still, with everybody crashing, still managed to get 10 points on the day, but not a good day for him, considering. Right.
I wanted to ask you about Ross Chastain. This isn't related to the race, James, but I know you're a big Ross Chastain fan.
Huge fan.
How are you enjoying the promotions of the watermelon being upset with him because he's got peach on the car? Are you enjoying it, or you hate it?
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's funny. The best I can give you. I think it's funny.
Is the joke that he's cheating on the watermelon?
Yeah.
Is that what the
Yeah, the watermelon's
He's in an open relationship?
I guess so.
Him and the watermelon are in an open relationship?
Well, I don't think the watermelon's in the open relationship. The watermelon's not happy.
Well, I mean, he gives the watermelons away all the time.
Right? Yeah. Smashes them on a track.
And he's always smashing them.
Yeah. I don't know.
He goes through watermelons like T-shirts, that guy.
Right.
I'm not sure he's a role model we should be looking up to.
Yeah, I've been wanting to ask you about the peach promotion.
The peach car looks good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, Anheuser-Busch cars. When was the last time you saw a bad Anheuser-Busch car? Except like when they try to be bad.
Is it? Let me ask you this question about Ross.
Okay.
Since we're on the topic, does Anheuser-Busch have any regrets yet? Too early to tell?
I mean,
I feel like it's way too early. I think it's way too early to tell.
It's way too early to tell. He's not doing. You think they'd rather be with Josh Berry? I don't think so, because that team's going away. Of course, they wouldn't be going away. Probably if Anheuser-Busch was there. So I think they made the right choice. Like Ross was.
Well, I think Chevrolet not performing so hot outside of the Hendrick camp. I don't know what's going on there, but like Trackhouse just doesn't seem to have any sort of momentum again this year.
No.
So. Yeah, it's just I'm just wanting to plant the seed. Not that I agree or disagree. Just wanted to plant the seed.
Let's talk about, you mentioned stage 3, start of stage 3. Let's talk a little bit about that. God. We can talk about the moment that if I'd go with the route that I was planning on going will be reflected in the show title. Let's talk about the Corey LaJoie Kyle Busch incident heading into turn 1. First of all, I remember on that restart thinking to myself, we really haven't had those fan out Pocono restarts today. It's been kind of weird.
We really didn't have those.
And then they all fanned out, and Corey LaJoie sent Kyle Busch spinning through the middle of the pack and wrecked several good race cars. Or, well, I don't know if they were good race cars, but wrecked several race cars in the process.
They fanned out and Corey fanned in.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So I want to take back a statement I made, I think, last week on the podcast. I didn't go back and listen to the exact quote, but I think it was somewhere along the lines of Corey LaJoie is not garbage. I think I might have spoken too soon. I mean, I don't know, man. And I've expressed this issue with Corey LaJoie before. And I guess let me start by saying that Corey LaJoie claims on his podcast, Stacking Pennies, this week, that he explains what happened and why it wasn't intentional. It was a complete accident. However, my issue with that is, I then watched the replay afterwards and it doesn't corroborate what he says. And B, it's a completely different story than what he told when he got out of the car on Sunday. So it sounds to me like somebody who analyzed the replays and thought of the best possible excuse he could give, relating to those replays after he had a chance to review it a few times. But anyway, the problem I've had with Corey LaJoie... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say too, Eric, really quick, if I can just jump in.
Yeah.
He's the only one talking.
Right.
Like, he was the only one talking on Sunday. Yeah. He's the only one talking now. Kyle punted on the whole situation, by the way. Continue, sorry.
Yeah. So my problem with Corey LaJoie is that we talked last week that he used to race with guys like Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace, and he used to beat them on a regular basis when they raced in smaller series. And then they came to Cup, and Corey took this route and ended up in field filler cars and just hasn't been able to amount to what those guys have amounted to. The problem is that Corey LaJoie still sees himself as equal to those guys. And as far as the world is concerned, as far as his career is concerned, he hasn't proven himself at the Cup level yet. He is not equal to Kyle Busch. He is not equal to Kyle Larson. He's not equal to these guys that he is wrecking because he's upset with how they drove him. I'm sorry, you don't get the opportunity to take a swipe at Kyle Busch going into turn 1 at Pocono just because you think he blocked you a little too much and damaged your car, which I think Corey LaJoie caused the problem in the first place. And I'm not defending this for Kyle Busch because, I mean, I am a Kyle Busch fan, but Kyle's had a disastrous season. This is just adding to the top of the pile. If Kyle screws up, I'll sit here and say Kyle screwed up. I'm more annoyed with
and he's screwed up plenty.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just more annoyed with the other guys he took out in the process. I mean, just stupid. And in NASCAR, of course, Elton Sawyer said today that they're not going to penalize him. They are going to talk to him, but they aren't going to penalize him for the incident. And I mean, I guess I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't think that some of the penalties we've seen recently should have been penalties. But if they are, then this one should have been. But I think no matter what, you could put enough of an argument that it could have been an accident. You can't completely say, yes, Corey LaJoie turned him on purpose. However, I think pretty sure Corey LaJoie turned him on purpose.
He definitely turned his wheel to the right on purpose.
Yeah, his excuse on Sunday after he got out of the car was that Kyle came down and he held a straight wheel, and he did not hold a straight wheel. he turned right.
No. And it's not like he was below the apron either.
No, exactly. There was a whole lane.
Yeah, he was going into the corner, a lane in. All he had to do was give Kyle the ground.
He had to lift.
And yeah, and that's my thing. Most of the time I'll say, with a lot of these guys and a lot of these incidents, like if you legitimately beat somebody to the position into the corner, like you don't necessarily have to have the front bumper in front of their car, but if you put a move on them and you're in there, like you're on their inside and you've beat them into the corner, that's your corner.
Yep.
And if the person on the outside doesn't lift and you don't lift, well, that's a racing incident to be, to hold your line or be damned, I guess.
Right.
That's going to happen from time to time. This was not that. And Kyle also, he didn't even block twice.
No.
He blocked one time and then held his line.
Yep.
And a lot of the time you see with these types of incidents, you see the car that ends up in the wall most of the time. They usually block twice.
Right.
And that's what gets drivers in trouble. And again, I'm okay with blocking once. Block twice and you got what's coming to you. But again, Kyle didn't do that. Kyle earned the respect of Corey LaJoie there to give him the line.
Yep.
To fight another day. Corey just chose not to. He's like, I'm not gonna deal with you right now. I'm gonna get you out of here. And in the process, a good chunk of the field's getting taken out with you. He shows
that he feels entitled, and I don't understand why he thinks he's entitled. He doesn't have wins. He doesn't have the history. He has not earned that yet. And these guys, yes, he's a veteran, but he's a veteran backmarker. And does he have potential to go up there and do that? Yes, but you got to do it before you get that respect. You got to do it before you earn that right. And he hasn't done it yet. And he thinks he has. He thinks he deserves it. And that's the thing that's rubbed me wrong about Corey LaJoie all along is that attitude that everybody owes him something. And I don't know why he thinks that.
Yeah, and just because you're racing Kyle Busch doesn't mean you belong to race against Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch is sucking. That's why he's back there racing with you.
Yeah, like you don't normally see Kyle Busch racing in the back. This year has been just a disaster. But
God.
I hate it for the radio communication was not good.
No.
Afterwards,
of course, to be fair, it was not Corey LaJoie who said it.
No. But the bleep him and all that, especially like. When you wipe out the field like that too.
Yeah, but I'm also am one of those people that's like, what's said on the radio?
I understand heat of the moment.
Yeah,
right?
and also TV is picking the salacious moments to air. It's that's your vent button. That button's your vent button as a driver, and so I don't really take anything too personally what they say on there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. It just, and I let me go back. I want Corey LaJoie to be successful. I've cheered for him to win in this car and to succeed. But again, you got to earn the respect that you're demanding out there. And I just don't feel like he's done that yet. That being said, James, he's got a hell of a crew chief coming in next year. There's a lot of money being spent at Spire to make that car good. He's got to do it next year. I mean, he's got to. I don't know if he's racing I don't know if he's winning races next year, but he's got to be doing better than what he's doing right now. He's got to
show significant improvement.
He's got to be top 15. A good chunk of the races.
Yeah. That team's been loyal to him, and they've done a lot for him. And in return, like I think Corey should be commended too for sticking with Spire. And they really are trying to build something there. But at some point, either the fit's not right, the driver's not right, something's not right. And
he's getting beat by Carson Hocevar this year, though.
Well, and that's just what I was gonna say. You see Carson Hocevar come in there, and Carson's got issues from time to time. I mean, he just got fined and penalized,
Yeah.
But Carson is fast, really fast, like raw speed fast. Corey doesn't seem to have that yet for whatever reason. But Carson also needs to be reined in a little bit too. But you can see that team does have that potential. And if Carson was more consistent, you'd see it even more. He's just not. Carson's fast but inconsistent. But consistency will come. A lot of young drivers who are fast. Sometimes they're fast and then they kind of fade away. I don't see that for Carson. I see him because he has the confidence, I think, too. But
let me note that Carson Hocevar just lost points due to a penalty, and he still has 57 more points than Corey LaJoie this season.
Silly penalty, too.
Let me also note that Noah Gragson has 53 more points than Corey LaJoie this year, and he started the season in the negatives. So,
yeah, I know, and that's the thing. Like, those cars aren't. They're not as bad as the performance.
Right.
Carson has shown us that. Like, there's flashes there. Those cars can run.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see what Rodney Childers does over there, because I think he's gonna help be able to bring those cars considerable more speed. Hopefully.
Yeah. I hope he does. Again, though, you run in that same problem we've talked about on here many, many times. When there's 36 cars, and you're going to move up the order of 36, somebody's got to move down.
It's got to come down, right?
So while you're getting better, everybody else is too. So there you go.
Exactly.
Anything? I mean, we talked about that. We had several cautions there. Just again, a factor of, I guess, the beginning of the last stage and thinking it might be the last restart, and everybody's just going for it. What did it take us?
Yeah, everybody just goes for it.
Took us a couple, 3 attempts to get going, and then we got rolling.
It did. We're talking about that wreck. You had it here in the notes, but Hocevar had an amazing save.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah, like completely sideways through there.
Yeah,
there's a couple of guys who had good saves.
If you haven't seen the onboard video, go look it up on Twitter of Carson Hocevar. Yep. I mean, he just jerked the wheel left and just missed Kyle's.
Yeah, and he was kind of giggly on the radio afterwards.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't hit anything.
That would have been a hard hit if he'd got him. So
I didn't hit a damn thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but there was one other thing. What was the other thing I wanted to mention?
How about all the drivers getting the speeding penalty in the same section on pit road?
Yeah, that was the other key, which the drivers had kind of known about, but that really took out some players. I mentioned Chase. Larson was in there. Bell was in that too, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you lose some of the top, some of those top runners, it's a whole new race. Ty Gibbs, I think, was in there too. But
yep, Ty Gibbs was.
His day ended prematurely anyway.
Right.
So,
just interesting that I don't know. I mean, I trust NASCAR's system, but it just seems weird that people are getting busted in one spot. But the problem is that these guys all push it to the limit, because NASCAR, in case you don't know, if the pit road speed limit is 55 miles an hour, they let you go 65. Yeah. So there's a 10 mile an hour leeway, and these teams put it right to the edge because they have to. I mean, every millisecond counts, especially when you're doing 9-second pit stops.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the other thing too, is we have pit stops now that you're calculating how long you need to take fuel, because that's what slows your pit stop down instead of tire changes. And
you have guys, teams sacrificing, time just to make sure the car was packed with fuel. I mean, I thought that was pretty interesting. They had a really good camera on that for, oh gosh, I can't remember the team.
Can't help you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, the car needed to be get as much fuel as possible, and the rear tire changer came around and put his shoulder right into the gas man and just sat there and waited for the gas man to disengage. And then the gas man disengaged, and then they continued with the tire change. And they didn't drop the jack until, simultaneously, the fuel came up the receiving hose back into the can. And as soon as that clear hose was completely full with no bubbles, the car dropped off the jack and off they went. I mean, it was beautifully synchronized.
It's crazy.
I mean, these teams are cutting it so close all the time. I want to say it was like Chris Buescher's team or something. But anyway, that was a really good shot by NBC. And then Letarte, will explain to you why.
So good.
And talks to you about why that fuel. I mean, the fuel is technically not packed all the way into the car until you see that hose full. with no bubbles, and he talks about that, and then they drop the car, and I was just like, man, that is great insight from Letarte.
Can you imagine just an hour of Steve Letarte and Larry McReynolds just talking?
Oh man, yeah.
I would pay good money to listen to that. I'll tell you.
Yeah, they could do like a multi-cover, like if you had like what is that called when they have the multi-coverage, like there's the main broadcast and there's the other, the other broadcast.
That'd be so good.
Yeah, the all crew chief broadcast.
Like when the Mannings do the Monday Night Football.
Yeah, like a Manning cast. Yeah, but you'd have like the all crew chief cast.
I like that.
Or the all driver cast. There's different ways you could do that.
Hey man, maybe when Amazon gets it, we can do something like that.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, they're going after a few people.
Yeah,
so
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, anything else with this race, James?
I think that might be it for the Cup Series.
We pretty much covered everything. I'm sure I'll think of something afterwards. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. That is the 12th victory for number 12, Ryan Blaney. As they mentioned many times at the end of the broadcast, 327 Cup Series races. Blaney continues to be the guy who doesn't usually, I'm saying to put in quotes, doesn't usually do a burnout, but now has done a burnout like the last 3 races he's won.
Very little. A little burnout. A little mini burnout.
It's still a burnout, man. He's still kicking that horse or beating the shit out of the horse, as he said. Yeah. So
Eric, career win number 12.
Yes.
You know how I love to do this.
Yes. Where's it put him?
Okay. Well, he's all alone. No other driver with 12.
Okay.
He is one behind Tim Richmond and William Byron all
Interesting.
time. Yes.
It's
2
good
ahead
company.
of Donnie Allison and Clint Boyer.
That's real good company.
It's good company. Yeah. 62nd all time NASCAR wins.
Awesome.
Closing in on Ernie Irvin, Curtis Turner, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman. Those are the kind of guys he's inching up on. He's got a few wins to go yet to get up that far.
There you go. Carson Hocevar, we mentioned him. He was the highest finishing rookie, 17th place for him. And Chase Elliott's your points leader, 3 points over Kyle Larson at the top of the field.
Really close points battle.
Yeah, it is.
Where's the actual standings? Yeah, 703, 700, and then Reddick's at 688 and Hamlin's 683. There's a 20-point difference between the top 4. So the regular season championship is going to mean something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who gets it. That's like you said, it's a big deal. We've learned it's a big advantage going in to have that.
I think Hamlin won the day on points, right? 54. Yeah, nobody else in the 50s. So it's going to be interesting to see if these guys get, because we've seen a lot of pit strategy lately, but I want to see if these guys stay for points. Like Hamlin went and got the playoff point in stage 2 where he didn't have to get it. He could have pitted. But second stage 1, first in stage 2, second overall. It's a really good points day, and it keeps him in the hunt for the regular season championship.
Yeah, definitely.
That's going to matter.
Let's see. He comes out with, I guess he just got the 1 playoff point. For some reason, I thought he got playoff points for second, but I guess not.
Nope, you get playoff points for the stage. So
shows what I know about the point system.
You're like me in qualifying. I have no idea what's going on in qualifying.
Yeah, I don't even watch qualifying.
Jr. won stage 1. So
there you go. NASCAR Xfinity Series Explore the Pocono Mountains 225 on Saturday. Cole Custer finally in victory lane. Yeah, Stone Cold gets the victory. Pretty much dominates this. Well, I guess he didn't dominate the race. So that's 25 laps, but second stage 1, first stage 2, wins the race. But great battle with Justin Allgaier at the end and throughout the race, but definitely at the end. Allgaier leads 30 laps on the day. It certainly was one of those 2 guys, but Custer had the better strategy at the end of the race. Allgaier didn't have the fresher tires and had to worry a little bit about fuel, but not so much once it wound down. So
yeah. And Byron was up there, Sheldon Creed.
Yeah, Byron was up there even with the flat tire earlier in the race. So
yeah. So there was a handful of Cup guys in this one, but every time Cole Custer wins, I'm on alert. Is that the last ever win for Stewart-Haas Racing? So,
yeah.
So we'll see. I think he might get another one before the season's over.
That's interesting. Yeah. Good point.
We have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Chandler Smith not happy with Sam Mayer after the race.
They had that wasn't a punch.
Yeah.
But There was an aggressive grabbing.
Yeah.
I'll say.
I feel like if you're going to take your helmet off, you should probably take the head sock off too.
Yeah.
You look a little less silly.
Well, and he didn't, like Sam Mayer did the right thing.
Yeah.
Probably what I would do, because I'm a coward, would be sitting in the car with my helmet on. Just don't get out.
Right.
He can't hurt you in here. Because Chandler Smith, he's pretty big.
Yeah.
People know that. He's tall.
The thing is, Chandler Smith's third in points. He's significantly ahead of Sam Mayer. Just don't even let him get to you, man. Just run your race. Just do your thing and don't even think about him. Don't even worry about him. Just
you got bigger fish to fry.
There's no point in getting in a scuffle and starting a feud with somebody. And I mean, Sam Mayer's not necessarily one to start a feud with. He's done his own stuff in the past.
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
I don't know. Sheldon Creed finishes fourth. Trying to think. You mentioned William Byron. William Byron gets a third place finish. AJ Allmendinger, sixth place in this one. Taylor Gray in the 19 car gets a top 5. Good on him.
SVG was upset.
Yeah, SVG was upset because he got wrecked for 38th, he said.
No, 83rd.
83rd, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. A little dyslexic. Yes, 83rd. That's such a great line. I love SVG. I want him in the Cup Series, man.
He's got to get better on the ovals.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he's good. He's a good quote.
Yeah. He was running okay here though until he started getting wrecked.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think every week I'm going to watch where that 15 car is located.
Yeah.
Especially if it's going to be an all-star car. So Josh Berry showed up and that car did not run very well.
So. No, that's a good point. Yeah, it was pretty much a disaster in this race. And as I was watching, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe it wasn't all Haley.
Maybe it wasn't all Haley. Let's keep an eye on it. Just kind of keep an eye on it for a few weeks here. It'll fade away. My interest in this will fade away, but
I saw a rumor today. It might be early to discuss this, and we save it for news. But the rumor that I saw was that Cole Custer is going to Cup. In the Haas factory team. Who else was it?
Herbst
is going to 2311.
Yep.
And that's going to open up Ryan Preece down to the Xfinity Series for Stuart Haas and Haley Deegan in the 98 was the rumor I saw.
Yeah. I don't think Preece and Haas will stay together. Would be my only thought there, because I don't. Tony brought in Ryan. I don't know if Gene's got a whole lot to do with it. So.
Right. Who knows?
We'll see.
Who knows who's really running the Xfinity team though too? So
that's right.
Is Gene running it? I don't know that Gene. I think Gene's just keeping his name on the building. Is he really running anything?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep.
But we'll see. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see Haley in the 98. She certainly wouldn't be able to have any excuses after that.
No, that's a decently good race car.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Anything else with Xfinity?
On to the Truck Series.
Okay, well before we do that, I like to do my highest finishing rookie, Jesse Love, in 22nd place. I'm too lazy to push the sound effect anymore, so I'll just be Adam Alexander now.
And in all honesty, we're scared that something's going to break.
Right, yeah, exactly. We've been having issues. It's a freaking expensive soundboard, and for some reason it creates issues every week.
We're gun shy on our end.
This week, I think the issue is me. I think it was a stupidity issue, not the system. But anyway, Cole Custer's your points leader, 51 points over Justin Allgaier. So 2 guys battling for this race, the 2 guys battling for the points. Good battle between those 2, even though it's a 51 point gap right now. So There you go. Truck Series, I'm going to admit that I watched the extended highlights by skipping through it this afternoon. I did not watch this race at all. So completely missed it on Friday night. I had other stuff going on, and when I came back, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something else than watch the truck race. But Corey Heim leads 55 laps of a 70-lap race and gets the win. Battled out with Grant Enfinger at the end, Grant Enfinger and Krishnekis battled it out at the end for second.
Yeah, there was no competition at the top.
Absolutely no battle. I think probably the biggest story of this race was the NASCAR deciding to not count laps and then count laps at the end of the race. Are you familiar with this, James?
I did not see that.
So apparently what happened is, the new rule this year, because the teams requested it, is that it used to be when the rain came, when they brought the cars down on pit road for the rain, they'd park them before the start-finish line in a line on pit road. And the team said, well, Then we got to go all the way to the cars and put the covers on them. Sometimes it's a really long distance that we have to go. Drivers have to go a long ways to get back to their pit stall, whatever. So the teams requested that NASCAR park the cars in their pit stalls. So that's what they do now, and that's what they've started doing this season. The problem with that is when you do that, you have half the field past the start-finish line, so you're counting a lap technically as that happens. So apparently NASCAR decided when they went to go back to green after the rain delay, they lined all the cars up and they said, well, we're not going to count that lap because it's a reline up lap, so we're going to skip that crossing, come back around, and take the green or get the one to go. Well, then they came back around and as the way went around, it started raining again. They brought them back down pit road, back to their pit stalls, and they said, well, we're not going to count that lap either. And everybody's like, wait a minute, that's 2 laps at the end of the race. There are only like 10 laps to go to begin with. How are we not counting the laps? Well, it ends up NASCAR decided to count the laps, and that's how they did it, which is how they should do it. And there you go. So it was the right decision in the end, but a little bit of a cluster of changing rules in the middle of a race, as we've seen in the past. So, but came to the right solution. So
yeah, that's not new.
Yeah. It's something. NASCAR's got to count those laps because I know we have overtime and all that does screw up strategy, but NASCAR's always been very consistent about, like when we run at the local short track, we have a lucky dog rule, and when you give a car back a lap, you just say, okay, go to the end of the field, and you just go on the little lap counter and you add a lap back. But they don't do that in NASCAR because they want everybody to run the same number of miles. They want them to make the crossing. So if you get a lap back in NASCAR,
actually matters. Yeah.
Right. When you get a lap back in NASCAR, you go around the track in extra time. And so you can't then just take laps out in the middle of the race. It's just not something you can do. So right decision in the end, but a little screwy, I guess. This is all hearsay. I'm going by what they talked about on TBC today because I did not watch the race. So
yeah.
But there you go. Corey Heim, it is 10th victory in 55 Craftsman Truck Series races. Unfortunately, Corey Heim likely going to get overlooked for a Cup Series ride next year, even though I don't know.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Definitely. Him and Christian Eckes.
He's got a fun little pattern going on right now. So Kansas, he wins. So he goes first, 28th, first, 36th, first, third, first. So we know he's not winning IRP.
Right.
So he'll have to wait 2 weeks to his next win.
There you go.
And the only thing that ruins it is he has a win at Texas and then 2 losses in between. So it's pretty nice little run he's got going on here.
This is pretty much the Christian Eckes, Corey Heim NASCAR Truck Series this year. It's both of these two, and that's it.
Yeah, that David Gilliland team is they're pretty good. They are KBM at this point. Yeah,
exactly. Thad Moffitt, 29th, highest finishing rookie. Haven't heard that name in a bit. Christian Eckes is your points leader, 32 points over Corey Heim in the Craftsman Truck Series. And there you go. That's Pocono. One other thing worth mentioning, there were a lot of issues on Sunday morning with traffic. And apparently leaving the track as well, but Sunday morning especially, there was severe weather that came through the area before the race. Pocono's policy is if it's lightning, they make all their team go to shelter, which is probably largely because about 10 years ago somebody was killed with a lightning strike at Pocono. So I don't think I can blame them for that, but created quite a mess out there on a track that already apparently has not the best traffic situation leading into a race. So anytime fans aren't there in time for the race to start, it's a bummer. So it sounds like it was not the ideal situation out there, but again, it's weather. You can't really predict it. And you can predict it, but not very well. Right. There's only so much you can do. So anyway.
Right. Yeah, that was a mess. Unfortunate.
Yep. So, all right. Some news items, James. We talked last week. We previewed that there was going to be an announcement for Front Row Motorsports the day after we recorded the podcast. And as predicted, Noah Gragson announced he will go to Front Row Motorsports for 2025. I don't know if there's any discussion necessary here. We kind of already did it last week. Anything you want to comment on it or just move on to the next thing?
It's a good fit for him. I hope it sticks for a few years.
Yeah.
That's a decent race team. I think he can do good things there. So
they're definitely on the upswing.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna replace Stuart Haas fully now.
Right.
So it's not even so much I would say a lateral move. I think he's actually having an upgrade.
Yeah, I think so.
Where he's currently at. So
considering where Stuart Haas is this year, yeah, I think it's an upgrade.
Yep. Yeah, he can win some races there, I think, eventually.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
So, we'll see. Yep.
I
mean, I should say, sorry, Todd Gilliland's been doing very well there. Doesn't always have the finishes to show for it, but if Todd Gilliland can do well there, I believe in Noah Gragson's talent. I think he can do well there too.
Speaking of that, did Todd Gilliland buy a lotto ticket this week after breaking a brake rotor in the middle of the front stretch instead of heading into turn 1 at Pocono?
I don't know, but it's like that's like one of those good luck, bad luck situations because he had a really good race car again. And then, of course, something happens.
If you're going to blow a brake rotor, do it in the middle of the straightaway and not head into the turn.
Yeah, don't do it Jimmy Johnson style or Bubba Wallace style where you're flying into turn 1. Yeah.
No, that's not cool.
great.
Xfinity is in talks with NASCAR about extending its Xfinity Series sponsorship. However, the rumor is that it will be potentially a short-term renewal, with Xfinity looking at shifting to only being a premier sponsor of the Cup Series, as they are currently. Yeah, I mean, and then there's talk about NASCAR adding a 5th premier sponsor. I mean, this goes back to stuff we've talked about with the charters and everything, James, that you got NASCAR here. Instead of having one title sponsor, they got 4 or 5. They're now competing with these teams for dollars.
Yep.
So
we should have it in place where if you're a premier sponsor, like part of that sponsorship coverage is like sponsoring race cars throughout the season. Like it's like in some way giving back to the teams a little
kind of
bit.
like what Camping World did when they were a Truck Series sponsor.
Yes. Coca-Cola does some of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, actually. Like, look, you're going to have this pool sponsorship that we can assign to these teams throughout the season. So each, maybe there's 10 races throughout the season that you have to be a sponsor on one of the cars. It's an agreed upon amount.
Pick the cars you want to be on, and
or even you don't pick them. NASCAR gets to choose them.
Or between the 5 major sponsors, like divvy up. Like here's an allotment for Gibbs. Here's an allotment for Front Row.
Yeah.
And then you run one of their cars or something. A couple times a year.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, especially when
that was the idea I had, because I was listening to Denny talk about this, and Denny had some really good points on, NASCAR, like help us.
Are you saying nice things about Denny Hamlin?
Well, Denny. Listen, man. Denny makes good points when it comes to
the business side,
and taking care of the fans and putting on a good show.
Well, not only that, but Denny's very open about the business side.
He drives me crazy behind the wheel, but he's not an idiot.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's a very smart business person.
You don't get to where Denny's gotten to with Michael Jordan and this whole situation. Like he knows what he's doing. He's smart. He's smart. So. Yep.
And I mean, it's political how open he is. He's doing it
of course.
to help his
he's
own
angling
interest, but it works. I mean, and it's good for the fans.
Somebody I used to root for did a lot of that politicizing in public.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. So.
I wonder who that is.
Uh-huh. He didn't do it as gently as Denny does.
No,
that way.
Not at all. Yeah, he might have soured some. He might have done more harm than good at times. With
sometimes,
how he went.
he went for the sheer force of will treatment, which that doesn't always work.
Yeah. NASCAR and Disney are releasing a co-branded Cars NASCAR playset.
I saw this.
It's pretty cool, right?
When I saw it in the notes, I'm like, all right, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I took the boys when Cars 3 came out. I took them to it, and it was interesting. I thought they did a good job with the movie. So we get some NASCAR themed drivers. Ryan Inside Laney, of course, based on Ryan Blaney. We've got Go Logano, Joey Logano, William Byrev instead of William Byron. We got Karsten Ace Dillon instead of Austin Dillon, and Bubba Wheelhouse, Bubba Wallace, of course. Blaney and Wallace's characters both from their roles in the Cars 3 movie, but pretty cool deal. Anytime you can expose kids to NASCAR, it's a good thing, right?
Oh yeah. The kids love the Cars still, man.
Yeah. Hey, Cars is great. Those were good movies.
Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong with those movies.
I still say NASCAR needs to do when they did the Toy Story NFL game.
Yeah.
I thought for sure, like NASCAR. Yeah. I know NASCAR and Disney don't have any dealings, but the NASCAR and Cars should do that whole thing. I thought that would
freaking awesome would that be? That's a great idea.
I know, that's what I was saying. I thought it would be a great idea when they did the NFL game. I'm like, man, that'd be such a natural thing to do.
Man, if ABC ever comes back on board,
I know. That's the thing.
Dang. And they got all that telemetry. It'd be easy.
I know.
Super easy.
Do it.
I'm really kicking myself, James, because this was not on our notes last week, and it should have been. Because last week I listened to Denny Hamlin's podcast on the way home on Monday, and Denny dropped a hint about, he mentioned that they were going to run an option tire at Richmond, and nobody picked up on it. But we got the news this week. There was a rumor that went out last week right after we recorded, and the news came out this week that we will have the alternate tire. We will have the soft tire available at Richmond coming up for the Cup Series. So 3 tire choices. We got a wet weather tire. We got the soft tire. We got the hard tire. What are your thoughts on this? Didn't turn out to really be a thing much at the All-Star race, but we're gonna give it a shot in a real life race situation. It can't hurt Richmond, right?
No, I'm glad it's at Richmond. Let's see I'm cautiously optimistic, I'll say.
Yeah. It's a 400 lap race versus a much shorter All-Star race. Yeah. So there's room for strategy actually to matter and affect this in this race.
And it is an older surface. Yeah. North Wilkesboro's surface was brand new.
Right.
But it was good racing, I thought. I thought North Wilkesboro was a lot better. But yeah, let's see what this does with a little bit of a more worn in surface that they play with at Richmond. So I don't think it will work as well as maybe we will hope, but if it does anything, I think that's a win. Like if we see something that we can go off of on the next round, if this helps short track racing, I'm all for it.
The thing that concerns me as well. The thing that concerns me is historically these types of choices, the teams have all just done the same thing.
Well, that's what they do with fuel right now.
Yeah.
It's a couple different strategies per stage, and then they finish the race.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we need people to take chances for this to be successful.
Yeah.
And I try to think back. I watch a lot of IndyCar races. I try to think back to IndyCar and whether this has ever really been that intriguing in IndyCar races, and it really hasn't. I don't think it's really added a ton to IndyCar. Formula One, I don't watch enough Formula One to know if it's really a factor there.
The thing with Formula One is you can see it perform differently because the cars are so fast.
Right.
Those reds, those soft tires for Formula One, yeah, they're really, really fast out the gate, but they don't last.
Right.
I don't know if these tires for NASCAR are going to do the same.
Yeah, we'll see. So I think it's a positive step in the right direction. I honestly would almost prefer to see them just take the soft tire and just run the soft tire, and that's it.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, this could be a complete win. Like I said, I don't think we saw enough at the All-Star race to be able to determine whether it's going to be a big difference, big swing, but we'll see. I mean, got to try it to know. So.
Right.
Credit to NASCAR. They know something. They know they need to fix something. So.
Right.
So there you go. The only other news item is that Martinsville has teased on Twitter that it has an announcement tomorrow, Wednesday at 2 p.m. They'll be streaming online. Sorry, the train is going by me in the background.
Excellent.
Yeah. They're tease an announcement. They made an announcement, James, about an announcement. About their fall racing season tomorrow. Any thoughts on what Martinsville could be announcing? I am pretty sure I know what it is, but
Cars late models?
No, I don't think so. You remember last year, I think, they invited Dale Jr. out for a little test of the Mazda MX-5 cars.
Yep.
I would be willing to bet it's Mazda MX-5 race at Martinsville during the fall weekend.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
That's a really good guess. Yeah.
We'll see.
I like it.
I think it could be interesting. Those cars could be a lot of fun to watch. So
they are fun. They're fun on iRacing.
Yeah. We shall see. Or it could just be they could just be changing their logo.
Right.
Could be excited about nothing. So we'll see. There was one other news item I wanted to talk about. But I cannot for the life of me remember. Oh, so just real quick, you mentioned Iowa Speedway. Maybe not. Maybe you didn't mention it. But anyway, Iowa Speedway. First of all, read a thing today. I don't know how reputable it was, but apparently they're claiming that NASCAR is expected to come back next year. We haven't really heard anything to the contrary, so it's not surprising.
Yeah, same.
However, IndyCar raced their doubleheader there this weekend, and that the partial repave really sucked for IndyCar.
Yeah, they were mad.
Yeah. I think we learned yet again, as we've learned multiple times, that what's good for NASCAR is not always good for IndyCar and vice versa. But how about that wreck with Stingray Robb at the end of the second race? Oh my God.
Yeah. That looked like a wreck out of the movie Rush or something like that.
Man, I mean, there's been many accidents that have already shown that the aero screen was a great investment in that series, but there were at least 2 impacts in that wreck that were making me very thankful they have it now. So just crazy. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Everybody's okay, but what a wreck.
Yeah, it was wild. And
I saw today that Stingray has been cleared. Stingray, man, what a name. Stingray has been cleared for the next race, so he's good to go.
Yeah, that's good.
There you go. Checkered Flags, James. Any Checkered Flags this week?
IROC back at Lime Rock.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
That Mark Martin's going to be driving one of the IROC cars, so I think all that's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
I know Ray Evernham killed SRX a little bit, but no, I'm just kidding. He didn't kill SRX, but it's still cool to see the IROC name, the brand, come back. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these cars look like out there. Yeah. I hope they push the pace a little bit and see what they can do. So
be cool.
Yep.
My checkered flag or shout out or whatever you want to call it. I very frequently use this space to talk about what Dale Jr. is doing on the download, but last week he had Gary Nelson on the show. Yeah. And if there's not a better innovator there's not a better innovator in NASCAR that you could have on the show. I have not listened to the whole interview. I just listened to clips and stuff that they posted. Yeah, it's the stuff he's talked about is so good though. They posted a clip yesterday on social media talking about basically the safety aspect between 1991 and 2001 when we lost 10 drivers in 10 years, and the thought process and where they were going and where they were at in the system and everything as far as working on safety before Earnhardt's death. And it's very interesting. There's anytime I learn stuff that I didn't know, I love, because I feel like I've seen everything in the sport over the years, and there's still plenty of stuff I haven't, but it's always a joy when one of those things comes across. So definitely worth a listen if you, or at least checking out the clips if you haven't checked them out on Dirty Mo Media. So,
yep.
Black Flags, I'm just going to throw one at Corey LaJoie.
Same.
I already did that, so I don't have anything else.
That was what I had for the week.
Yeah, so there you go. Short track corner is pretty short this week. This weekend is the ASA CRA Red Bud 400 at Anderson Speedway in Indiana. It's one of the super late model crown jewels over the season, kind of in line with like the Snowball Derby and those types of races. James, I'm trying to decide. To decide. It's about a 5.5 hour drive for me to go there, or maybe actually it's more like about a 4.5 hour drive, because I think it's another hour to Indy.
Don't you ever just rest?
Well, this would be resting. I'd just be watching. I wouldn't be working it. So I'm thinking about going down to Anderson on Saturday night for the Red Bud, and then I'm like, well, it's only an hour more to Indy. I could go to the truck race Friday night and watch the trucks at IRP, which I've always wanted to go to IRP. And then I'm like, I could just stay for Sunday and go back to Indy and watch the Brickyard. But I'm not doing that. I'm not going to the Brickyard. But the other two, I don't know. We'll see. It's a tough decision.
If you're gonna be down there, you might as well just walk over to the Brickyard and get yourself.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking too. Like Anderson is in the evening. If the Xfinity race was early enough in the day, I could go Saturday to the Xfinity race and then book it to Anderson. But the Xfinity race is too late. It's going to end without enough time to get to Anderson. So,
yeah.
Anyway, we'll see what happens. I guess the other note in Short Track Corner is the Reveal the Hammer Late Model Series, Super Late Model Series. The Wedge Body Late Models is going to be at Owasso Speedway on Saturday night as well. So I might just go down there instead. That's only an hour away. So we'll see.
All right.
With that, James, we talked about it already. This is the 30th anniversary of the Brickyard 400 this weekend, and we return to the Oval in Indianapolis. And if you get an opportunity, go on YouTube and look up NASCAR Man's. Is it NASCAR Man, I think? Right?
NASCAR Man's got
he's got a
41
minute thing on the history of this race. And I learned stuff in there that I didn't know again. I saw crashes. There were wrecks from the practice session, the testing session they held in 93 there that I'd never seen.
Yep. I saw IROC cars on the track for was a test. I saw that.
Yep. So very cool story as to how we got the Brickyard. It was many years in the making. It was rumored multiple times before it finally came to be. And I still get chills thinking about that first test when they had 100,000 people show up to watch 9 cars test on the track.
Yeah, the best of the best looking race cars too. Mellow Yellow, Kyle Petty, Rusty, Davey, Dale.
Well, and Dale and Rusty argued over who would be the first on the track. Rusty insisted they go in car number order, which let him be the first car on the track, and he got.
And Dale.
Yeah.
Yep. And Dale wasn't having it.
No.
Just blew right by him.
Yeah, Dale passed him. So yeah, good stuff. That stuff's all good. All those stories are great, but.
Bianchi's got a piece coming, I believe, this week. I haven't seen it yet, but I may have missed it. But Bianchi's got a big retrospective coming.
Nice.
He was talking about it on the teardown. Talked to like all the big players, Roger Penske, Jeff Gordon. I would like to get a hold of that piece when I see it. So I haven't seen Jordan tweet about it yet, but I haven't. I'm gonna look it. Actually, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Let's be honest, James. This race never should have left the oval, right?
No, I know we were calling for some change back in the day, but it was a mistake.
It's too much prestige there. It just you don't have.
Yep.
I'm okay with the road course, but it can't replace the oval.
It's kind of how I felt when they decided to move it. I really felt bummed out.
Yeah,
I remember feeling like don't do it, even though the crowd's down, don't do it.
Yeah.
So
I hope they have a good crowd. Looking at tickets available right now, I mean, it looks like there's a lot of tickets available. Pricing is not ideal.
2008 really killed it.
Yeah,
really killed it.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
If you want to sit top row, or the upper section in any of the grandstands in the corners on the front stretch, you're talking 175 a ticket. That's a little disappointing. You can get tickets in the corners or lower levels for like $65, but you'd think you got 250,000 seats there that you could lower the prices a little bit, but whatever.
Yep.
And not only that, but it's not the greatest place to watch a race. But at this point, we don't care about attendance anymore. We just care about TV. So if people tune in on Sunday, that's all that matters, right?
Yep, that's right.
So the Brickyard 400 presented by PPG is Sunday, 2:30 Eastern on NBC. NASCAR Xfinity Series also returns to the Oval. It's the Pennzoil 250 on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on USA, and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has the T-Sport 200 down the road at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Carson Hocevar will not be there to wreck somebody, right hook him into the wall in that race. So
it'll be the best race of the weekend possibly.
Right. We get to make our picks, James, and I get to go first, and I am going to go way off the radar, and I'm going to go with a sentimental pick, and I hope I don't choose your pick, but I don't think I will. I'm going to go with Chase Briscoe as my pick in the 14.
Oh, hometown boy.
He has one opportunity to win at the Brickyard 400 in the 14 car for Tony Stewart. So
excellent.
I love that.
I love that.
He isn't going to do it, but it'd be a cool win.
Yeah, it would be a really cool win. Gosh, I wanted to take Ty Gibbs because
I know.
He's going to be. I have a feeling he's going to be fast and he's not going to puke an engine twice.
Right.
But I'm going to go with a redemption story.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Kyle Larson comes back to Indianapolis, and all the bad feelings he felt after leaving the Indy 500, he's going to avenge them because he likes the big trophy.
That might be
Kyle Larson's going to win the Brickyard 400. That's just name into Indianapolis history.
Might be the only story better than the Chase Briscoe win.
Yeah, he could steal the show. He really could.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to be cheering for him on Sunday now.
Yeah, I really do like Ty Gibbs for this race, though. I really think Ty Gibbs is going to show out.
You know who else I like for this race? Alex Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman will be good.
This is an Alex Bowman type of race. I'm telling you. Not only the track,
anybody who was good at Pocono, I think, is going to be good here.
Yeah.
You know who else would love to get this trophy? Who needs it? Is our good friend Dennis Hamlin.
Yeah.
he doesn't have this one.
That's true.
It's there with the Cup Championship. He doesn't have this one.
It's like the only crown jewel he doesn't have, isn't it?
Yeah. Lots of these guys have this race. Brad's got it. Kyle's got a couple. So yeah, this would be one that he could get. That would help his Hall of Fame resume. Although he doesn't need it. I mean,
yeah, right.
But he wants it. He wants to have that trophy. So.
Are you excited about it? Are you excited about the Brickyard?
Oh yeah, I'm pumped that we're going back to Indy, and I'm pumped that we get a 2-week break. I know you're not happy probably about that, but I like the idea of the 2-week break. So
yeah, nope, I'm not happy about it, but I'm very excited about going back to the Brickyard. I'm super pumped. I hope it's a good race. I'm optimistic. I'm casually optimistic that it's going to be a good race. I think it should be better than the old car.
I think so. Oh yeah.
So, Fantasy League, I'll break it to you. I forgot to pick again this week, so my picks were awful.
Well, you only ended up 15th, so it's not the worst.
15th out of what? 17?
Out of 17. Yeah. Yeah.
I like casually looked in there. I'm like, maybe I lucked into it, but I know I had Ty Gibbs, so
yeah. I'm running out of starts for some guys at this point because I've been really. I'm trying to stay in the championship hunt, and so far I think I'm still in it. It's just tight. So, but Green Eggs and Hamlin goes back to back. He texted me about it immediately.
That's awesome.
The one person I don't want to lose points to is Cole Custer, and Cole Custer finished second. I finished third, 241 to 240. So. I threw everything I had at this race, trying to, and I'm like, man, I'm having a good day. I didn't put Hamlin in my lineup, and that was the difference, I think. So I was trying to save Denny for God knows what reason. So that's your top three. I have now broken my tie with Watermelon James. I am back in front. All is good. 9-8 on the season for that combination. So hopefully I don't have to talk about that anymore. Cole Custer's last stand. He is our points leader. Green Eggs and Hamlin right behind him, 4,031 to 3,999. Nice. So the top two are really close, and then Smoking Grill Racing right there, 3,965. If you go all the way to 6, that's where I am, 3,903. So after that, the gap gets pretty wide. So I think the top 6 are still in the championship hunt, unless somebody gets hot. So we shall see. That's your fantasy update for now.
There you go.
Eric, you're out of the top 10. You have to get back in.
Yeah. I think I thought the race started an hour later than what it did. So I went to make my picks, and it's like, oh crap, they've already started. So
yeah, I wanted to make one change. I had Ty Gibbs in my lineup, and I'm like, he's not going to do so good. So I benched him, and then he blew his engine. So
see, my problem is I had Shane Van Gisbergen in mind still from last week, so I automatically I couldn't move somebody to the bench.
Yep.
Because he had to be on there. So yeah, it is what it is.
You probably didn't get your bonus points then, did you? Because you didn't.
No, I didn't do it. Yeah, it's just garbage. Yep. Garbage.
Yep. Garbage.
Stupid fantasy league.
I know. I'm trying not to forget. I want to stay in the hunt. It's like I feel like I'm having the worst season I've ever had, but I'm not that far out of it. So
I put way too much emphasis on trying to watch the races live so I can be part of this fantasy league that I suck at anyway.
Yeah.
It's a complete waste of my time.
Yeah.
It irritates my wife because I'm trying to get to the TV and watch it live, and it drives her crazy.
My kids are always annoyed that Dad's watching the race. So
yeah,
is what it is.
James, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
Find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Subscribe for new episodes wherever you heard us for new episodes each week. Shout out to the folks from New Zealand who were ripping on us this week on YouTube. In the comments, because we are Americans and we are ignorant to the rest of the racing world. I don't know if you saw any of those comments, James, but we got a little flack, and I tried to explain to the fella that we are aware of other sports and whatnot. But
oh my,
yeah, he was giving us crap because apparently, do you know what the second most popular sport to soccer is in the entire world?
Hopefully it's auto racing.
You're an ignorant American because you don't know that it's cricket. And if you ask Americans what cricket is, they'll say it's like baseball. And it's nothing like baseball, James. That's what I was
caught
informed
flack.
of.
I guess I didn't catch this.
I was informed of this weekend. Or this week. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
on the YouTube?
On the YouTube comments. Yes. Because, I intentionally put Shane Van Gisbergen in the headline last week, hopefully to get some numbers, because our best episode last year was his episode. So I tried to play the system a little bit, and I sucked in some New Zealanders again, and they were giving us crap. So
it's like
the headline said Van Gisbergen falters, and they're like, well, how did he falter? He got wrecked. It's like, yeah, I know. It's just a headline. Listen to the episode. We said that. But anyway, it's all good. People listened, I guess, or at least.
It's like when I stumbled into Rams Twitter and
Right.
I accidentally dipped my toe in where I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And started getting yelled at by Rams fans. And I'm like, well, I rooted for you in the Super Bowl. Like, I rooted for you guys.
Right.
Don't get mad at me.
Hey, man,
because your quarterback's wife makes me angry.
We want listeners. We got to enjoy them however they come, right?
Oh my God.
Anyway, if you can leave us a comment on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts or wherever, or you can go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway and leave us an audio message. And if you do, might just play it on the show. We go to the Brickyard 400, 30th anniversary, 30th time, 30 years since the first Brickyard 400. That is incredible that it's been that long. Sunday, 2:30 p.m. on NBC. We get to see who kisses the bricks once again. We'll be back next week to break it all down and get ready for the James's favorite Olympic break. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.